For today's video, I decided to go all out Star Wars. Aside from me being able to go on and on for hours about Star Wars, I'd actually like to do part 2 in my Keynote series. This video, I'm going to show how to do transitions and talk a little about how to actually put a slideshow together. As an educator, we go through many hours of professional developments, training sessions, videos we need to watch so we can stay up with bloodborne pathogens and things like that. So we have a lot of experience in sitting through slideshows, and you quickly learn the do's and the don'ts. One of the biggest things I constantly see, and I hear it from many other people, is do not put exactly what you're saying into the slideshow. The presentation should outline the important parts of what you are talking about. Use the notes feature within the presentation programs, or create a separate document that has all the text that you want to say. Don't put it up on the screen and then read verbatim what you're seeing displayed on the screen. That is the quickest way you're going to lose an audience. So I would always strongly suggest, please, and beg of you to please do not do that. Spare everybody all of that possible boredom of hearing you just repeat exactly what they're seeing on the screen. That is just not the way to do it. What a presentation should do, and I don't care if you're in the business world, if you're a student or an educator, the presentation should outline the very important parts of what you are discussing, or be, in addition to what you are discussing. It should not be, as I mentioned, verbatim what you are saying. Because if you're doing that, you might as well just email it to everybody and just have them go through it at their own pace. There's no point in them sitting there, other than maybe for a question and answer afterward. But I can promise you, by the end of a presentation like that, everybody's going to want to get out of there right away, and not many people are going to want to stick around and ask questions because they're going to be almost falling asleep. So what I'm going to go over in this part 2 video is how to spice up your presentation a little bit and show a couple of those additional features of things you can add into your presentation using Keynote. My first video of Keynote just kind of showed the basics and just how to move around in it and do just the very basics within Keynote. This is going to kind of move it to that next level. The third video is actually going to show some really powerful features in taking your presentations to the next level, or if you're doing like a Zoom meeting or any type of remote teaching, you're going to really get a kick out of the third part, which I'll have up later this week. Otherwise, let's jump over to Keynote. So let me go ahead and get Keynote open on my computer. In this video, what I'm going to discuss mainly is the Animate feature. So over here on the right-hand top side, in the previous video, I talked about the format and the document options, but there's this Animate button that you can use. And what that allows you to do is to take what's actually on your slideshow and do something with it. It might do something as you transition to it, or as you transition away from it, or in a certain amount of time. I've got all these slides here, and I'm going to show some different ways that you can use transitions. So a lot of times you might not use a transition on your title page, because usually that'll be up on the screen as people come in. So it might be the second slide when you start getting things going. To use transitions, you click on the object that you want to apply a transition to, and you tap on the Animate button over here. Now you're going to see 3 different things. You're going to see build in, action, and build out. Build in means what is it going to do as that appears. Action means what is it going to do while it's on the screen, and build out means is it going to do anything as you move away from it. Most people are only going to use the build-in feature. You might use a little bit of the action feature, and sometimes you might use the build out feature. It just really comes down to what are you using the slideshow for. We're going to start with the build-in feature. To add an effect, you click on the big blue button, say add an effect, and it's going to give you a ton of different effects that you can use. Let's say we want it to just kind of appear. And it will give you a short little demo of what it does. And you'll see it started with nothing, and then all of a sudden it appeared. If we want to change that, you'll see right below appear, we can hit change. Now the other neat thing is when you hover over one of these transitions, you'll see there's a little preview button. And what you can do is just tap on preview and it will show you what it's going to do. So it gives you a quick chance to kind of just see what each one is, because not all of them are completely obvious. Now within these, there are settings that you can change. So let's say we want to use this fly-in one. Now you're going to see over here, we've got some options that we can do from it. We can choose the duration, so we can have it go really slow. And you'll see it comes in super slow. Or we can have the transition go super quick. So let's slow that down a little bit. Let's see how that one looks. That's pretty good. We can choose the direction, come from right, from left, from top, from bottom, and you can read the random, and you can read the other options. So let's say top left. Or let's go from bottom right. So it gives you a lot of control. We'll talk about order in a little bit. So that's your transition part. So that's how the object is going to come in. The next part is action. So what is it going to do once it's on the screen? So let's click on add an effect. And if we click on preview, it'll just kind of move it along. It'll kind of pulse, have it rotate, have it scale. You can just kind of have it blink as it's there, or kind of just bounce around. So you kind of get the idea. Personally, for me, I don't tend to use the actions very often. Once in a blue moon, I might add an action in. And then you've got the build out, how it leaves when you move away from it. So let's say we want it to, let's see what that does. That's kind of cool. So let's use the iris. Now you're going to see this order here. So it's going to show that we're on build out, which is 2, because there's actually an order that things happen. And if you look down at the bottom here, you'll see it says build order. So what you're going to see is for this slide, we've got a transition that's going to fly in. That's the first thing. The next thing is it's going to iris out as it transitions out. How's it going to happen? It's going to happen by clicking. So I'll actually click something on my keyboard, or if I have a laser pointer or a mouse, it'll happen by whatever I click. You can have it happen in an order, and I'll show that in just a bit. You can have it also delay. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to the main slide. We're going to hit play. Here's the title one. Now I'm going to click the mouse. I'm going to transition in, and then it's going to transition out. Now, what you noticed is when I started that slideshow, it went to just a blank blue screen, and then I had to click again to actually get the transitions text to come in. So let's say we want to fix that. We're going to go to build order. We're going to choose transitions, the first one, and we're going to have it just start after transition. Close that out. Go back to here, hit play, away, and you'll see it comes right in automatically. I didn't have to click again to get that to come in. So that was by going to build order, chose it, and then hit after transition. So after it transitioned to that slide, it happened. Now we could tell it to delay. So let's do a 3-second delay. Close that out. So now what's going to happen is after it changes to the slide, it's going to wait 3 seconds before you see the text appear. So now I'm going to click and move away. And now you're going to see that there's a little delay before that transitions text actually appeared. So build order really allows you to customize how each thing's going to appear and go away. And you can really control those things. So let's say now we wanted it to disappear at a certain time. So we don't want it to disappear on click. We want it to disappear after it builds in. And let's say after 10 seconds, or let's do 5 seconds. So we're not sitting here and waiting as long. So what it's going to do is it's going to use the iris transition after 5 seconds once it appears. Go back here. Let's hit play. I'm going to click to move away. Now it builds in. 5 seconds later, it's going to iris out. Bam. So it gives you a lot of automation. And if you start to think through the potentials with this, you could actually create movie slideshow presentations that you could post to the web or send out to customers, where everything's automated, almost like a mini movie. And something I'm going to show in the third video allows you to take this to a whole new level. So when you're doing Zooms, or if you're just sending out a video to people, because you can export these keynotes as a movie. So you could post it to YouTube and have people go watch it, or you could send it to a customer. You could send it out to your students, or as a student, you could make your presentation for the class, turn it into a video, which then you just play in the class. So lots and lots of potentials in what you can do. Let's move over to the third slide to show some additional features. Click on the slide. Now, let's say we want this image to appear first. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to make sure Animate is selected, and I'm going to choose Add an Effect under Build-In. So let's say we're going to have it slide in, move in. Yep, just like that. Now, let's say we want this text to appear. Ooh, I like that. So we're going to do blur. And let's add an effect there. Let's have that also blur. All right, so now we've got transitions selected for all three of these. So let's click on this one. Again, you can choose the duration. All your options will be here and what you can change on each piece. So we can choose what direction it goes. So I like the left to right. Then we want that to appear and that to appear. Let's go to build order. We've got that, and then we've got the text photo example and isn't it pretty? Let's say I want photo example and isn't it pretty to come in at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I want this one, if you notice, isn't it pretty is number 3 in the build order. So what I'm going to do is click on it, choose with build to. So now it's going to link those together. And the effect is now going to be exactly the same. It doesn't want to, it needs to use the same transition effect. You can't have two separate effects if you're going to group those together. You're going to notice number 3 is grayed out. Number 2 is selected and they're linked together. So what I can do now is if I close this out, back up, let me just go right there. I'm going to hit play. You're going to see when I click, the photo is going to slide in. When I click again, both of those next two items are going to appear at the same time. Under build order is where you can really do your customization. Let's say we don't want that to come in at the same time. So we can say on click and it separates it back out. Or what you can do is with build to, but you could add a little delay. Say we want to add a 1 second delay. Now we're going to hit play, click in the image. I'm going to click in the next part, and after a second, the next one's going to come in. And you'll see there was just a little delay with that. So again, this build order is where you can really bring in the power and how these transitions happen. And what you're going to notice is over here on the left-hand side, there's 3 little dots. And what that's telling me is I have 3 transitions or 3 of something happening under the Animate. So there are 3 animations happening. So let's go to this next one. Now we want to add an effect. We're going to have that one drop in. We're going to have that one here. We're going to have that one drift and scale. Then what we're going to do is after the first one appears, we're going to have it dissolve. That one builds out. Have it move out. And after the third one comes in, that out, have it white. Now we're going to go down to build order. Now you're going to see there are 6 selections here. So the first one's going to drop in. Then the second one's going to appear. Then the third one's going to drift and scale. Now let's say you wanted the first image to drop in. Then you wanted it to leave before the second image appears. Then you want the second image to disappear before the third image one appears. So what you can do is you can click and move these around. So you'll see it shows the photo of each one. So here's the first image. So we want that one to leave. Then we want to drag that one up. So now you'll see we have these all grouped together. So if I hit close out, hit play, you're going to see when I click, the first image is going to appear. Then it's going to leave. When I click again, the next image appears. Click again, it's going to leave. When I click again, the third image appears. And then it leaves because I picked an effect where it would actually go out on its own. That was my fault. So you can really tie these all together. And again, you can go back into the build order, and what you can have it do is be automated. So after transition, that happens. Then we're going to have after build 1, but we're going to have it delay 2 seconds. Then this one is going to appear after build 2. We'll say just a small delay. Then after build 3, we're going to have that after a second. Then after build 4. And you'll notice some of these said with. That means they'll happen at the same time. Then we'll say after build 5, we'll just do 1 second. So all these now are going to be automated the minute I start the slideshow from here. So all I'm going to do is hit play, and it's just going to go. And then I had that. Yeah, that was my fault. I just picked the wrong transition for that last image. But you can see the potential here. So it allows you to take multiple steps. And I've seen people with like 15, 20 steps, some of them linked, some of them not, and so on. You can also do this with charts and things like that. So if you remember last time I mentioned you can insert charts and do all sorts of crazy things with that. So we could, swivel this chart around however we want it to be. I kind of liked it having it tipped down. Then we can choose a built-in animation. Now they've got some special ones related to just this, which is kind of neat. So some of these custom things, it has its own special transitions that are applied to that. Kind of like that one. Let's select that. Now let's go to our 6th slideshow. So my studio, it's completely empty. Under media, you're going to see an option of take photo. And I think I briefly mentioned this in the previous tutorial. So what I'm going to do is under my Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is my iPhone. Yes, as I said, you can see my Star Wars theme here. I'm going to say take photo. And what's going to happen is the camera is going to open on my phone, which it just has. Snap a little bit of a picture of some setup here. And then on my phone, I'm going to say use photo, and you're going to see it instantly appear on the screen. And then what I'm doing is I can position it and move it around. But to fit into the theme, I can animate it now. And I just took this with my camera. I can add an effect. I can have it do blinds. I can say when that one comes in, we want to add an effect. Let's do anvil. That's one I kind of like. When I really want to emphasize something, I kind of love that anvil transition, but that's just me. So now we're going to go to build order. So we've got the 2 orders there, and you'll see my studio comes after the image. I don't want that. So I'm just going to click and drag it up. But if I click and drag it within, it's going to link them together. And then I can just drag it around to get it out of that. So it gives you a lot of options to group things just by clicking and dragging. So we want that to happen automatically. Right after it transitions to the slideshow, that starts. Then let's say we want to have this happen after the build, and we'll delay it a second. Go ahead and hit play. That, and that will appear. So those are transitions. It is all under the Animate tab. And if I go back to the beginning of my slideshow and hit play to start it, we're going to move away from this first slide. Going to take a second, and you'll see it appear and then disappear because I've automated it under the build order. I'm going to tap that one in. Remember, there was a little delay between those two. You can even set up progressing from one slide to the next automatically. That drops in, and now everything's going to be automated from here. That's going to disappear. The next one's going to show. And then I messed up the third one, so it's going to, blow up out and then show and then wipe. I'm going to move to the next slide. Going to show the chart, iStudio with the image appearing. Hit escape to get out of that. So that is the Animate tab within Keynote. So much you can do between the Animate and the effects and then the build order. You can customize this for the whole slideshow just to automatically progress from the beginning to the end. Keynote, as I mentioned in the very first video, is so powerful. And through this video, I hope you're starting to get some ideas to see that power that is within Keynote. The third video I'll have up later this week, which will just show one or two more features that allows you to even take it a step further and really do some things, especially for remote teaching. But if you're doing a presentation, like if you're working on a project for a class or a business presentation, you can insert your own video into the slideshow. Really, really kind of elevates your presentation to that next level. But the one thing I want to stress again, and I will keep stressing it, is do not put into your presentation everything you're going to say. Only use it to highlight the things you are discussing in your presentation. This is Adam on Tech, signing off.